Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something incredibly fun. We're taking a fascinating trip back in time to dig up some truly timeless wisdom. We are going to translate Mark Twain's rapid-fire historical quotes into a totally cohesive, actionable manual for modern life. You know, Twain wasn't just a brilliant novelist. He was an absolute master at observing human nature. And, as we're about to see, his sharp, witty insights, they're literally just as applicable to how we live today as they were over a century ago.
All right, let's jump right into our agenda for this journey. We're kicking things off with fools in society. Then we'll move into the power of truth, explore some habits for success, take a look at the comedy of aging, and finally wrap up with conquering death. So, Section 1, Fools and Society, Navigating the World. How exactly are we supposed to conduct ourselves when dealing with society's inevitable curveballs and its huge cast of unpredictable characters?
Well, let's start with his definition of a banker. He calls a banker a fellow who lends you his umbrella when the sun is shining, but wants it back the minute it begins to rain. It's cynical, for sure, but man, is it witty. By treating this heavy satire almost like a straight-up dictionary entry, he absolutely nails how transactional, fickle, and honestly kind of absurd our societal systems can be.
And it doesn't stop there. He makes this brilliant, stark point about human nature. He says, if you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous, he will not bite you. But with a man, well, that is the principal difference between a dog and a man. It's pretty brutal, right? But he uses this humorous contrast to remind us that human gratitude is just incredibly fragile compared to the simple, unwavering loyalty of an animal. So knowing all that, how do we actually protect ourselves out there? Enter rule number 1. Never argue with stupid people or fools. It's a super rigid, punchy rule, and it is absolutely foundational if you want to keep your peace of mind. But why is it so non-negotiable? Let's break down exactly why you need to avoid these interactions at all costs. Okay, here are the mechanics of what happens when you break rule number 1. First, they will drag you down to their level. Second, once you're down there, they're going to beat you with experience. And third, and this is key, onlookers may not be able to tell the difference. This last point, it's so relevant for us today. Think about our modern digital equivalent of onlookers. The internet comment section. When you get into a public argument online, the people scrolling past usually just see two fools yelling at each other. It's a lose-lose situation every single time.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, the power of truth, mastering honesty. We're pivoting now from dealing with all those difficult external people to mastering our own internal character. Specifically, we're looking at the absolute necessity of honesty and integrity. Now, Twain defines forgiveness in just the most beautiful way. He calls it the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Notice how he doesn't paint forgiveness as some kind of passive weakness or giving up. Instead, he frames it as this lingering, incredibly resilient strength. It's a powerful internal truth that actually elevates you far above whatever initially hurt you. And speaking of truth, listen to this totally pragmatic piece of advice. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Twain famously called honesty the best of all the lost arts. And here, he's just laying out the sheer practical efficiency of it. Think about it. Lying requires a massive cognitive load. You have to constantly manage this whole web of fictions. But honesty? It frees your mind completely. It is literally a life hack for mental clarity. But wait, there is a catch. The truth must be served like a coat and not thrown in the face like a wet towel. This is a huge takeaway for our manual. Because while truth is a superpower, the delivery matters so much. You can be completely honest without being cruel, Serving it like a warm coat implies care and respect, so you avoid causing unnecessary harm while still holding on to your absolute integrity. All right, Section 3, Habits for Success, a Daily Routine. We're going to dive into Twain's slightly tongue-in-cheek but honestly highly effective formula for getting things done every day. So here is his 2-step daily routine. Step 1, eat a live frog first thing in the morning. Why? Well, because nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Step 2, do something every day that you don't want to do. He frames this as a strict routine designed to help you build the golden habit of doing your duty without the pain. By front-loading that discomfort and knocking out the absolute hardest thing right away, the rest of your day, it's a total breeze. Of course, to actually accomplish those awful morning tasks, you need courage. But let's redefine that for a second. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. This is such a crucial reframe. Courage isn't some magical, fearless state of mind you just happen to wake up with. It is an active, daily resistance. It's the muscle you flex when you face that metaphorical frog every single morning, even though you're terrified.
Let's combine this with his broader elements for success. First, he notes, with just a bit of irony, that ignorance and confidence are all you really need in this life to ensure success. But he backs that up with some very real action items. Number 2, reading is absolutely essential. He says a man who does not read has no advantage over one who cannot read. And 3, push new ideas. He acknowledges that a person with a new idea is considered a crank, right up until the idea actually succeeds. So your real advantages here are constant learning and the sheer persistence to push past all the haters and skeptics. Now, part of gaining that success is just gaining maturity, which leads to this hilarious contrast. He says when you view your father at age 14, he seems so ignorant you can hardly stand to have the old man around. But viewing him at age 21, you're suddenly astonished at how much he's learned in just 7 years. Of course, we know the father didn't magically get smarter. It was the son who finally grew up. It's the perfect illustration of how our own perspective shifts over time, finally letting us see the wisdom that was sitting right in front of us the whole time. And speaking of time passing, let's move right into Section 4, the comedy of aging, passing of time. We're going to look at the inevitable realities of physical and mental aging, but entirely through Twain's lens of sharp, undeniable humor. It almost always starts with a compliment. When your friends begin to flatter you on how young you look, it's a sure sign you're getting old. It's such a universal, totally relatable truth. Part of aging gracefully is just having the self-awareness to see straight through that well-intentioned flattery and just laugh at the reality of the situation. But you know, he balances that humor with some incredible grace. Listen to this quote. "Wrinkles should merely indicate where the smiles have been." This contrasts so beautifully with his earlier cynicism. It's just a genuinely gorgeous way of looking at what physical aging really represents. It's a physical map of a joyful life. Your face is literally just recording the hard evidence of your happiness. Now, aging does come with a whole host of funny little quirks and anxieties. First, you realize you're an older person who has known a great many troubles, but most of them never actually happened. Second, dealing with decaying faculties, to the point where you start vividly remembering things that never even occurred. Third, the paranoid danger of reading health books, because, hey, you might accidentally die of a misprint. And finally, the classic vice rationalization. Giving up smoking is the easiest thing in the world, having done it thousands of times. It just goes to show that worrying about our health and our memory is a timeless comedy we're all going to experience eventually. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Conquering Death, the Ultimate End. The really crucial point here is how all of these life lessons, avoiding fools, telling the truth, pushing new ideas, laughing at getting older, how they all culminate in preparing us for the inevitable. Consider this really profound observation. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Twain draws this direct, unavoidable line here. If you are deeply, truly engaged with your life right now, and you're embracing it fully, you naturally shed that anxiety about death. The fear only really creeps in when you know you're holding yourself back. And that leads us to what I honestly consider the ultimate goal of this entire life manual we've been building today. Let us live so that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. What a brilliant, inspiring way to frame a life well lived. It challenges us to live so passionately, so honestly, and with so much genuine kindness that we leave a legacy of profound positive impact on everyone we interact with, even total strangers. Ultimately, Twain noted that on our deathbeds, we generally only regret 2 things, that we were a little loved and a little traveled. So I want to leave you with this powerful question to think about. When you eventually look back on your own life, will your only regrets be that you were a little loved and a little traveled? Or will you take these lessons, embrace the world, love fiercely, and make absolutely sure you live fully today? The choice is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I really hope this manual serves you well out there.